Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parco, host of Helping the Brave. Let's bring in our guest today, Chad Singer. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Uh, what service and why did you choose that service?
Like you, I was in the Navy and ended up going into the Navy because my family has generations of men from the family that served in the Navy. My dad was in the Cold War. My uncle was on an aircraft carrier around the same time. And then my grandfather was actually at Pearl Harbor, World War II. He's still alive. He's 103
Wow.
this month. So yeah, strong. And then my other grandfather, he's passed away, but he was in the Vietnam War. So strong Navy history. So I just, stayed with the tradition of the family.
And I was complete opposite. Everybody was Air Force or Marines. And so I joined.
I spent a lot of the time with the Marines whenever I was in myself. But, stayed Navy the whole time. So.
But all right, so let's back up a little bit. So you went to college and then you went in as an officer.
Yep. Yeah. I went to college at the Citadel, which is in Charleston, South Carolina, where I'm from. And then, when I was at the Citadel, I had the Navy ROTC scholarship. And so essentially right after the Citadel, I was immediately commissioned. I got selected as a surface warfare officer with an engineering duty officer, like subcategory. I don't know exactly what they call it these days. But basically, I was supposed to be a surface warfare officer for 4 years. And then they would switch me over to engineering duty officer because my degree was in civil and environmental engineering. Didn't end up happening that way. I did 2 years on a frigate out of San Diego, which it was the last frigate in San Diego, got decommissioned. Actually, my crew decommissioned it. And then
32nd Street, right?
Yep, 32nd Street. And then, right after that duty, I basically got some extra qualifications on that first tour so I could try to get a non-traditional second tour. And they sent me over to Naval Beach Group, which was on Coronado. And I was a detachment OIC over at Naval Beach Group, deployed with the 13th MEU. And our job was basically moving ships or Marines from ship to shore throughout deployment and all the training exercises and everything. So had a good time and all that. But yeah, that's kind of where I was at.
And so then you proved my point why I never wanted, after I was a corpsman and I had my degrees, I didn't want to stay in because I didn't want to be a line officer.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I know you were trying to stay away from ships and all that. I was on ships the whole time, basically.
I didn't try. It just, except for when I went to physical therapy school, that was the only thing I said, what's not on a ship? And that's what I went to. And
right.
Yeah. Everybody else I knew was on ships, everything else, but it worked out for me. And then that's when my son, I don't know if you heard that part, when he signed up for the Army, he's like, should I go talk to the Navy? And I go, no, the Navy's, you're not going to be lucky. You'll be stuck on a ship. You won't be like me. You're in a station with the Marines, you still will get on ships. And so, because they have to get transported somehow.
Exactly.
So he won the Army and he loves it. So
what's he do in the Army?
He was an airborne combat medic.
Okay.
And then he dropped the airborne because they hit some trees up in Alaska. And he's like, I'm done. I'm like, well, you're 22.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. And I took care of guys, that Marines who jumped and they had their biceps cut at that time. And that was before they reattached them. So that was pretty bad.
Yeah. I've heard some pretty crazy stories about all the jumps and all that, tearing biceps. So
yeah, but now they can hook them back up. That's a totally different though.
Right. Reattach it, keep going,
Yeah, back then it was like, boom, what's that muscle up at the top there?
Keep moving, Marine.
Yeah. So how long were you in?
I was just a little bit over 4.5 years. It's kind of weird because my original plan was to do a full career. I was planning on doing 20 years. But my op tempo was so high, I was just gone all the time. I got married right after college, right before I commissioned, literally one day between the two, got married on that one day. And so just very high op tempo, as the more you do in the service, like they're just going to keep giving you more responsibility. So that op tempo was just going to keep going. So I decided to get out and stumbled into dog training, which is what I do now. But yeah, so a little over 4.5 years.
All right. So now you brought it up. I saw you. I read your bio. How did you get into dog training?
Yeah. So I came back from,
That's not like something where I had my degree and I'm, you know, I was in the Navy. I know you
right.
did deal with Marines and other Navy people. They are can be considered dogs sometimes.
Devil dogs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of weird because before I left with my 13th MEU deployment, see, we left at the beginning of 2016. We got back right at the very end of 2016. So before I left, me and my wife had a Doberman Pinscher. He was probably a little under a year old right before I left. Came back from deployment. You know, everyone sees the videos of your dog's happy to see you when you get back from deployment, right? Your dog's, you know, running to you at the door when you walk in, licking you, all happy. Not my dog. My dog had done a complete 180, came to attack me at the door, you know, teeth bared, trying to get me. I had to grab him, throw him up against the wall. And I was like, we got a problem, you know? And obviously the dog was he was like close to 2 years old at that time. And so he was hitting those teenage years, which I know now, I didn't know back then. But anyway, he was becoming full of himself. He was a dominant dog. And, you know, I kind of stepped back into the house and he wanted to challenge the leadership, right? So instead of saying, you know, we're getting rid of this dog, I said, okay, this is my dog. I got to figure out what's going on here. So I started working with some trainers in San Diego and started learning about dog behavior, dog training, completely changed my relationship with the dog. And I was like, this is pretty cool. And at that time is when I was processing getting out of the Navy. And I really didn't have an idea on what I was going to do. I had a couple of ideas, but I said, if this dog training thing is something I can do to help people, you know, that are dealing with stuff that I'm dealing with my own dog, I'd like to help people. And so that's kind of how I stumbled into it. And it just took off from there.
Where are you right now? Where are you out of?
Yeah, Somerville, South Carolina, which is...
You don't sound like you're in San Diego.
No, not anymore. But yes, Charleston, South Carolina, Somerville, South Carolina, where I'm originally from the area. So we moved back here after I got out.
Just gotta love that humidity.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I do miss the San Diego weather. I don't miss the cost of living, you know?
No. Yeah. See, I stayed down there for 20 years, then moved to Northern California, and it's not much better up here. It's just hotter.
So. Oh, really? It's more humid up there?
No, it's not humid at all. It's just
temperature wise.
Because down there, you know, I lived in North County, San Diego the whole time because I was Camp Pendleton. So I was up there.
Gotcha.
And I enjoyed it. Del Mar, where, you know, the whole area was nice all the
Super
time.
Nice. Yeah.
And, you know, but then I moved up to the Central Valley, which gets to 110 during the summer. But it's dry heat. No, down there. So down there, the difference is, you know, the further you're inland, every mile is 1 degree. So you go from, you know, if you're on the coast and you go to Escondido, you're talking a 20-degree switch in temperature just because you're so much further away from the ocean.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm used to that. So that could be 90 to 100 degrees, but then it cools off. Same thing up here. It's unusual for us not to cool off to, you know, 59 at night or 60, where a lot of places, they don't have that. Like where you guys are, if it gets hot or whatever, if it gets 80, you guys don't go down to 60 or whatever.
No. It's hot all night, hot all day, hot all night. Yeah. I remember being in San Diego and we didn't even have an air conditioner in our house. You just left the windows open all the time, you know? And I was at Camp Pendleton quite a bit because my LCAC detachment ACU 5 was up at Camp Pendleton, so I was up there with the LCACs quite a bit. Nice base up there and everything. You know, there are one of the cool things about San Diego that we really enjoyed, which I'm sure a lot of people listening, if they've been to San Diego, can visualize this. But you can drive, you know, 2 hours outside of San Diego, go hang out in the desert, go 4-wheeling, go off road, and you can go up to that mountain. I think it's called Big Bear, if you know what I'm talking about, where everyone goes, you know, snowboarding and skiing and all that. And then you're right there at the coast. So, I mean, San Diego is kind of like a cool paradise to be able to do all those things, which is why there's so many people there, you know.
It's just cool. And it's also cool all the time. I mean, when I was in close to Camp Pendleton, our average temperature is 70 degrees.
Exactly.
I move up to northern where I'm in Modesto, California. My average temperature during the summer is 90 to 100. It's a totally different world. It doesn't down there, you know, like by evening, you're putting a jacket on. Don't have that same problem here during the summer. Not at all.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's cool, man.
That's why we have a cabin. So we go up there. But the same thing where we are in Modesto, we're about an hour and a half from everywhere. Mountains, bay, wherever. I never
That's
go to
cool.
yeah. I just go to the mountains because I get away from people. I don't want to go to where people are. I had enough of that.
Yep. Yep.
All right,
All we
back.
got here in Charleston is just swampland. So if anyone's coming to Charleston, you got some beach and then you got swampland. That's about it.
Do you ever get used to humidity?
I'm a bad sweater. I'm sweating all the time. I mean, today it's cool, which is why I have this hoodie on. But humidity, man, I'm just soaking my clothes through, especially outside training all the time with dogs and everything. I might have to change my clothes a couple times. And at nighttime, the humidity doesn't go away. It just gets dark and humid. Mosquitoes are everywhere. You don't have those in Southern California, but they're here. So
they're there, but not like that. They're not like, because I grew up in Colorado as a kid, and you just went to if you went to a lake, you were eaten off like nobody's business, because if you didn't, you were eaten alive.
Right.
We don't really have that same thing here. And I think it's just because of the coldness and everything else. We have them, but they're, it's not as bad. I've had them with, if you have standing water around, you're going to have them. We don't have much standing water. It's usually moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys got swamps that won't move.
Exactly.
That's the difference. But that's okay. We all got to live somewhere. But that's why I'd rather pay the sunshine tax and stay here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've thought about it many times. I'm like, man, it'd be nice to go back out there, but we got a good thing going here.
It's expensive here. Cost of living. You can't, the average, you got to make $120,000 a year just to buy a $400,000 house these days. And you can't buy hardly anywhere in California with that price point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're better off going somewhere else, just dealing with the weather.
Right. For sure.
All right. Back to your dog training. All right. So how long you been doing that now?
I started as soon as I got back from my deployment in 2016. So it's been 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And what has changed in those 10 years for you doing it?
Well, whenever I first started off, I was working for another company. I didn't really like the way that company was operating. So I went out and searched for other companies to work for. That's my wife was like, hey, you just need to start your own company. You can do it better than anybody else. So I was like, all right, here we go. I got to figure this out, and that was about the same time I was actually getting out of the Navy, because I got out of the Navy in late 2017. And so I had been kind of working on the side around my, whenever you're exiting, you have less responsibility and everything. So it's kind of working on the side, exiting the Navy 2017, ended up starting up my own business. But one of the things that my command forced me to do was take this Boots to Business entrepreneurship course as I was leaving, which I'm very thankful that they made me do that. Because at the time I was like, I don't need this, guys. I can figure this out myself. They were like, nope, you're going to this. So, that kind of taught me a little bit about, running a business and things you have to think about. And so that really opened my eyes to everything. And then moved back to South Carolina, started training, was by myself. And then over time, a lot of dog trainers, they do what's called a board and train, where the dog stays with the trainer, which is one of the primary things that we do. And so as time went on, I was like, I want to take this board and train thing to the next level. And so I started putting together a dog training team, basically figuring out how to assemble a team to help the dog be the best dog they can be, achieve the training at the highest level possible, which means you got to have other trainers. You got to train other people how to be trainers. You got to train people to help take care of the dogs. Traditionally they're known as kennel techs or kennel assistant. But we basically take a kennel assistant and we teach them at a higher level. We make them a training assistant so they can help us with training. They can help us with taking care of dogs. They can help us with like kennel cleanliness and things like that. And, we have a video guy as well to help us produce a lot of video content to help people out with education and everything. And so over the years, it's just grown and grown and grown into a team mentality. The training itself has gotten better too, because as time goes on, new science comes out, you learn more things, you have more experience, so you can handle dogs a little bit differently. So, lots changed. But the biggest thing is just, going from one person to a full team. And as an entrepreneur, as a veteran, I took a lot of things I learned in the Navy and apply it to running a business, as I'm sure you do too, right? And a lot of people that might be listening, but those experiences really help us on the outside for sure.
Yeah. SOPs, all the different things that we did when we're in the Navy or whatever service you're in. Makes most veterans a great business owner, and the other thing is you don't have to put up with other people. That's the best part.
Exactly. Yep.
If you don't like it, you can go find somewhere else to work.
Exactly.
What do people get wrong most of the time about training dogs?
Most of the time they're trying to rush the process and they don't really understand the way the dog learns, right? They think they can say something in English and that the dog understands that. This is why a lot of people are repeating commands. Sit, down, down. Why are you pooping and peeing in the house? They're saying these things to the dog. The dog has zero idea what they're saying. What most people have to do is put themselves into the mind of a dog, right? Just like if you're in the military, let's say, you want to think like you're, I don't know, all the different positions and everything, but if you have some people that are working below you in the chain of command, you want to think like them so you can help them be better, right? If you have someone that's above you in the chain of command, you want to think like them so you can kind of, satisfy what they're looking for at their command, right? So same thing with the dog. Put yourself in the dog's shoes, which means you have to understand the dog's mentality, understand the dog's mindset, understand how they see the world, and help them, change what they're doing to meet your goals, right? So if you want your dog to be calm when people come over, you have to take the time, understand that the dog might be getting aroused when people come over, or it might be getting a little anxious when people come over, or nervous when people come over, and help change their mindset to, see how they interpret that specific situation so that they can be calm when people come over, right? That might be teaching them like a place command. It might be teaching them how to be calm standing or sitting next to you, right? But just put yourself in the dog's mind and then teach the dog in a way that they understand and help them achieve your goals by doing that, right?
I mean, I found an American Bully on the trail here, and at the time I found him, we had a Rottweiler female who was kind of type A, kind of ruled the roost no matter who it was. And, she was not the nicest to him, but he had somebody. Then she passed away 6 months ago. Well, we also found out that he wasn't just not listening to us. He was definitely hard of hearing. He has a hearing issue. And it seems like it's gotten worse over the last so many months, but it could have always been there because we've had him for 4 years. He's probably 6 years old because I found him when he was 18 months to 2 years old. Okay. So I don't know if he had that hearing problem then, and we just didn't realize it because he focused on what she did and did everything that she did, and so we didn't know.
Right.
And now you can tell the difference. Like he never barked at the door. Even back then, he would wait till she started barking, and then he would jump in.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like I'm going to go get cochlear ear plants for him because. Right.
Well, the good thing about the dog, and we've trained a bunch of deaf dogs, we've trained a bunch of blind dogs as well, and 3-legged dogs. But the good thing about the dog is they're very adaptable, as I'm sure you know from your dog in particular. They will adapt to how the environment is. And the other thing about the dog is naturally a nonverbal being, right? So if a deaf dog can't hear you, but they can see you, right? You can still give them a lot of signaling and communication methods. Obviously, you have to teach them how to interpret it. You have to teach them what your signals mean. They don't just automatically pick it up. So whenever your Rottweiler passed away and your dog that is hard of hearing, is still around, I'm sure you changed a couple things to be able to signal to that dog, hey, even though, the Rottweiler's not here anymore, this is what you do in this situation, or this is what you do in that situation. Or a lot of times dogs just pick up on the environment themselves. They're always watching. They're master observers, right? So this is why a lot of people struggle with separation anxiety. They pick up the keys, they leave, the dog knows they're leaving, the dog starts freaking out, right? Boom, separation anxiety is born. So it all kind of plays together, but the dog is a master observer for sure.
Yeah, he watches me all the time. You can tell, and that's, he is he sleeps like nobody's business because he's American Bully. That's just what they do. They just
Exactly.
don't
Those are
care.
great dogs.
Yeah, they
Right,
just
right,
don't give a shit. Yeah, it's
right.
like, I mean, we'll walk in and he'll just be sleeping the whole time. I'll have to go, wait, hey, we're home. Oh, okay. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.
Right, right.
But the problem, the things we've noticed lately that he didn't do before is whined. He whines more now, and it's to get my attention. And my wife had watched something that last weekend, and it kind of explained that he lost his person. He lost that his friend and all that. And so, because I'd fall asleep in my chair and he'd be waking my ass up, and they come to find out he is. From what she read was the fact that he just feels uncomfortable because you're here. And if you fall asleep, who's going to protect me?
Right, right. Exactly.
But the whiny stuff, it's so, I mean, I take on walks. We have our normal walk that we do. And he's American Bully. So he doesn't walk that far.
Right.
We're lucky to get a mile out of him, but
he'll let you know when he's done,
Yeah, they stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great dog, but he is definitely a pain in the butt. So we're actually looking to get another dog just to help support him. When one of them asked, would you take a special needs dog? No, we already had one, and we had one before because my wife had saved this Rottweiler, and come to find out she had a rare syndrome. And she had to be on all this medicine and to do all the tests. Luckily, my wife had given her, we had dog insurance when we got her.
Yeah.
And the copay was 10%. So the test, which this dog is lucky my wife made good money. She spent probably almost 20 grand on the test to find out.
Holy smokes.
I was like, you could have bought so many more dogs, but she only paid 2 grand. So she was like, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Right. Because and so she lived for a very long time, but she was panting a lot, whatever, because that's how she was on so much medicine. She was, and so I don't want another special. I told my wife, all we get is special need dogs, man.
Right.
Yeah.
What, do you know what pet insurance that was?
Yeah. They're not nationwide. They don't do it anymore. Now they're down to, it's so expensive because, that was for, 5 years. George is my American Bully. His name is George. That's how I named him. And he was on a 70-30 split. And they just recently, that was like $500 or something a year. That thing went to $2,500 a year now.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So we're like, you don't need insurance. We'll go back to if it's over $100, something's cheaper.
Right. Exactly. I've
heard,
go ahead.
My grandparents had a dairy. So when after I came from Colorado, I was 12. My dad died of hairy cell leukemia. I worked out there every weekend, all summer, the whole 9 yards. And then when we had 3 acres at home, so we'd raise different animals, 2 steers, sell one, and then eat the other one. And tons of every type of pigeon you could ever have, any animal I ever wanted, I had. So I'm at the point where I don't need animals. Like he was just. He found me on the trail. He was tied up to exercise equipment. Some people were out there, kept going, is this your dog? Is this your dog? No. And then on my walk out, I'm like, please be gone on my way back. Please don't be there. And he was. So then I took him home, showered him. He slept on the bed next to me, on the floor, didn't move, which we were like, God, could have been an attacker or something we didn't even know. But he just was a nice dog.
Yeah.
And over the next couple of days, he just came out of his shell and was so comfortable. And then we kept him. I was like, I'm not going to send him to the Humane Society and have somebody, abuse him even more. So. Exactly.
That was meant to be for sure, man. That's your dog right there.
Oh yeah, he definitely. And the sad thing is, I could have swore he heard more because he would, when I'd come home with my truck, my wife was like, yeah, he was all waiting for you and everything else. So I don't know what's going. He has allergies bad. He's American Bully. They do.
Yeah.
My vet's like, you guys get the Ferraris of all the animals, and that's why they're so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes they can develop that deafness as time goes on, or the allergies can affect them as well. So it's hard to know for sure. But I mean, what he's what his abilities are and everything. So that's the important thing. And you guys have your own communication methods yourself. So that's the important.
I've been trying to use more of my hands, like, hey, come here, kind of thing. And so you can see they come over. But when we're out back, he can't, but if I clap enough, it echoes that it gets him to turn wherever he's at. So
yeah. Cool, man. Good.
But it's just a matter of dealing with, everything in life. It's like us getting out of the military and our disabilities and the stuff we have. I'm not trying to bring it back to that, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
When I created the website, one of the biggest things was I wanted it to be able to be used by anybody who had any disabilities. If it's a disability site and for vets, if they're blind, if they can't, all that stuff, it needs to be able to be utilized. And that's what we did. So
right.
Same thing with animals. I mean, you take them, you adopt them, you keep them.
Exactly. That's a big thing I have to talk to a lot of people about, because I mean, you're probably not surprised, but there's so many people that go to the rescue, they go to the shelter or the breeder, they get a dog, and then a year later they're like, I'm having a problem. I need to rehome this dog. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's your dog. I couldn't imagine giving up my dog. I mean, I went through some crazy shit with my dog. And it's like, dude, I could have been the perfect person to say, I'm giving away this dog, but I'm not doing it. This is my dog. You know what I'm saying? You have that bond, you have that relationship. You're not going to give up on them. You don't give them back. You know what I'm saying?
I totally understand. Well, it's just like, with him, I found him, and my whole thing is he's my dog. But prior to this, I didn't have a dog. My wife had a dog. And we had some other, kids had dogs, but they weren't my dog. They weren't like this one. It's totally different. Back in 2008, I've been in the mortgage industry forever. And I helped some people with some short sales. And this one family, they had this German Shepherd, Rottweiler, Chow mix dog. And then they had two little ones. And the little one bit the Chow dog on the nose. We'll just call her Emma. She turned around and bit that little dog back, and it was $1,500 worth of damage. And they were like, we're going to have to put her down. I'm like, before you do that, let me talk to my wife about this. And we went and got her. She was the best dog. They had trained her from day one how to act and everything else. She was perfect. And she was my wife's dog. When my wife would go run, the dog was there and would let her know when somebody was coming, would hit her hand and everything else, like, hey, there's somebody over there. Yeah, it was a great dog. And she died of cancer, unfortunately.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had, and then my wife's like, I'm not going to get any more dogs. And then she's looking on the dog site, and then she that one mess that was around for a while.
Right.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, the only dog we got rid of was a German Shepherd that we tried to home, but Nellie, I think that's her name, and she attacked the other dog. And so they were like, bring her back. There's something wrong. We'll take her and we'll get her in someplace else.
Right. Yeah, there are some outlying situations where, with some people, I'm like, okay, maybe this dog is not suitable for your family, find a different place for it. But for most people, that's not the case,
But you also have to make sure you get the right dog for your family and the right dog for your environment. If you have no yard, don't get a big dog that can't go out, because, they need to run. They need to do things. That's why this American Bully is perfect we have a yard, but it's just, he's lazy, but he does want to go for a walk, but not too far.
Right.
And then, and not when it's warm.
Yeah. It's always funny when the people that want the lazy dog too, they go get a breed that they think is going to be lazy, and it's the most active dog ever. It's like, sometimes you will get caught off guard by that,
Well, people get like those golden doodle things. They're so wiry and jumping.
Super active dogs.
Yeah. It's like somebody on Adderall.
Right.
Yeah. All right. What did I ask you today? I should have asked you.
Well, one thing I did want to give you some feedback on is I appreciate your message, man, because I've been working on my disability ratings. Whenever I got out of the Navy, it was a little bit of a journey. I didn't, like, back then I went to the DAB office. That's where I was told to go to work on my.
We all did that.
Yeah. Work on I was actually at the Miramar DAB. That's where they sent me to from Coronado, because we didn't have one on Coronado. Not that I can remember, but anyway, I was over at the Miramar DAB working on my, disability and everything. And I was always the kind of person who I never went to medical. I never wanted to go to medical. I never wanted to talk about anything. I never had any problems. There were a couple of things that I did have in my records because I had no choice but to address them. But I was always the kind of person to skip medical. And, so going to the DAB, I feel like it's all kind of a blur at this point, but, cause that was like over 10 years ago. but I don't feel like I really got a good explanation from them or like how this process actually works. It's just like show up, they ask you some questions, they fill out some paperwork. All right, here you go. I ended up with a 40% rating whenever I got out. But, you know, a lot of my issues like insomnia, for example, was just rated at 0%. Yeah, it's okay now. But, you know, I realize that now, but back then I'm like, that was seriously affecting me. You know,
what I mean, the 0 means it's connected to your service.
Right.
And at that point, you didn't have any information. So DST, diagnosis, symptoms, and treatment. You had no treatment. You didn't go to whatever for. You have that's why it's a 0. No treatment, no information about it. That's why it's a 0. But the zeros, this is what I tell everybody now. As you're getting out, I don't care. You just go for everything, and you go for every 0 you can get, because then you can always have that increased. It's so much easier because it's already service connected. You just didn't have any complaints at the time. I did both my knees, my shoulders, and then a couple other things. They were all at 0. And you know, for years I couldn't get them up. And it was then, now I'm at 90, but they didn't give me my PTSD. They didn't give me my sleep apnea. And it was all because they didn't have my diagnosis that was in my medical record. Because a guy I went through, I don't know if you know the story, if I heard me, he didn't tell me, keep uploading that stuff. He didn't tell me that. So that's why I tell everybody, you need to keep uploading all the way through anything else that happens. And whenever you go to your primary doctor, everything you want in your medical record, just say out loud to them. And don't say anything you don't want in your medical record.
Right. Yeah. So I've been going through that process now because I had a guy that I was on the MU with. He just retired. You know, he was kind of telling me through his disability journey and everything. And he's like, dude, because we had a lot of the same things happen to us on the MU. And he's like, dude, you're not rated for these things. You need to go get this fixed, you know?
And you have him for a buddy letter too.
Exactly. So that's the process. That's what I've been working on. But, you know, thanks to you and what you guys are doing and a lot of the other people out there that are talking about this stuff and helping to educate, you know, and I try to say the same thing to the people that I know that are in service right now, like, hey, go get it on record while you can, you know, and make sure that you're getting yourself taken care of versus just not talking about it, not going to medical, you know, these kind of things.
Your last year in, you need to get everything in your medical record that ever happened to you. And so what they do now is what a lot of people do now is whatever you need. So we sit down with somebody and we go through what they're going to do. And then we have them make their appointments with the VA and then go to that in their first appointment. Because most people don't have an appointment with the VA. They do outside private forever. No, go to the VA, get an appointment with the primary, and then go over all your issues that we want to work on. Tell them these are your problems. And then they put it in your record, and then you start getting treatment. You need 6 months of treatment now in order to make sure that it's not considered acute. That's the new thing they changed this last year. And if you do that, you're going to get the disability your own, because $4,000 a month, if you're just married and yourself, that's a lot of money. That's tax free. That's $50,000 a year tax free. That helps you buy a house.
Right. Exactly.
Or start a business and not stress. Because you got money coming in while you're starting your business.
Right.
I mean, I'm at 90. 90's 25 something with me and my wife. So the difference between 90 and 100, $1,600. I don't know why they have it that much. If they would make it to where each one was only a few $100 difference, nobody would push from 90 to 100. But everybody wants the 100 so they can get rid of their property taxes. So they can, your wife and your kids have medical forever, you know, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's why you want to have it. So, I mean, your kids don't have it forever, but you and your wife can have it forever.
Yeah. Well, I was also kind of had the mindset of like, hey, other people had it worse than me, so I shouldn't, you know, try to get my rating or anything. And that's not the way it is. Right. So there's a lot of people out there that think like that. I'm just like trying to say like, hey, you know, you need to get serious about taking care of yourself because things happen to you, you know, and, you know, that's why that system is there to take care of you. Right.
You sign on the line to do stuff for this country. They also said they would take care of you. That's how they take care of you. You just have to go through the process. They don't make it easy. And like some people said, well, the people who worked in admin, all get their benefits. It's because that's all they do. They know how to do paperwork. They know how to do things. The rest of us who weren't in there, when we get bombarded and whatever, we go, oh, hell. That's what happened to me. I got to a point where I'm like, I gave up. And then I came across a ranger and he helped me get to 90. And during that process, I learned so much more than him and everybody else, because that's who I am. I will find out everything under the sun to a point where I'm like, okay, I want to get rid of these shark companies. How do I do that? I created an app and a whole website that you upload your stuff and it will tell you what to do. It'll connect your secondaries. It'll connect everything. It'll connect you to Nexus letter people and all the whole 9 yards. So,
yeah, 100%, man.
Give me 30 more days and it'll be up and running.
Awesome. We'll look
beta
forward to
testing
that.
right now. It's beta testing right now. So a few people can beta test if you reach out to me. I got to break it before I can say, okay, it's ready to go.
Right. Exactly.
Chad, thank you so much for being on the show today. If I could ever help you in any way, let me know. We're here for you at Helping the Brave. So again, anything you want to say before we go?
I just appreciate you, man. Appreciate what you're doing. And if anyone needs any dog training assistance, just check out Canine Revolution Dog Training on YouTube or our website, caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. Ton of free resources. You don't have to work with us, but just go and enhance the relationship with your dog so you guys can live the best life together. So thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, Chad. Stay right there.